Hi,
Hello,
I'm Julian.
I'm Gumshoe Tom.
We are Team Binge. We are here to talk about Bad Monkey Season 1, Episode 8. This episode was called The Russian Mob is Very Active in Key West. That title, much like the narrator, doing a lot of work in this show. It feels like this Russian mob was very active for one specific night and then no longer active, unless this is going to come into play in the last two episodes. But we're approaching the finish line, Tom. What'd you think of episode 8?
I had fun with it. I am getting the sense, like you mentioned in the beginning of the series, of the book, and I feel like they are stretching this out quite a bit to get into 10 episodes where they probably didn't need it. Again, still having a lot of fun with Vince Vaughn's banter. I think this episode, maybe even more than others, I laughed out loud or had to like pause and take a note of like the exact line and how it was delivered. So I thought there were some really good one-liners here. What about you? What do you think?
Still having fun. I think I messaged you after I listened to this one that this was definitely an 8-episode show. We could have condensed this all. It feels like we're drawing things out. They're trying to there to be emotional stakes with a couple of characters that I'm like, I enjoy the characters, but I'm not coming to Bad Monkey to feel like regret, remorse, or really reflect on my life. I just want to see Vince Vaughn do cop and restaurant inspection things.
Yeah.
I feel like this show, if you would have gone like 6 to 8 episodes and then each season is like overarching case, but then every episode is, I know you hate procedurals, but like every episode being a new case or like a new challenge, I would have really enjoyed that. And I think they would have had something, but they're doing a book. And I think this is Bill Lawrence's love letter to Carl Hiaasen. So I believe in Bill Lawrence. I'm still very much enjoying it. I like the banter. It's very funny. I hate taking notes on a show like this because I'd rather just sit and watch and enjoy. I'm sure I've missed, quips that I will be quoting for the next 30 years of my life, or conservatively 25.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it, but it did feel like we spun our wheels a lot and we didn't go very far.
Do you get a sense, though, since you read the book, like this is a contained story in the book from your remembrance, correct?
I believe so. I don't know if some of these characters carry over into other one of his books. I don't think there's like a Yancey. I could be wrong. I don't know that there's like a dedicated series of Yancey books.
Because I know this, like Carl Hiaasen, he has like loads of books, and I was even looking for one. I'm going on vacation soon and was thinking about picking up one of them. And I was just kind of wondering, because this has, I think, been so well received, it would be fun to get another season and have him essentially just do another mystery and crime and whatever else. I think it could be fun, but who knows?
Sure. Yeah, I would be all for it. I would watch it. I just, if we love Vince Vaughn and that's what's drawing me into this show, he's pulling me, he like lassos me and then he's doing his Vince Vaughn thing where he's pulling me in. I don't know if that has the same effect on. I feel like I'm coming to the show for Vince Vaughn and some of the other characters. I don't know that I'm coming to it for the Carl Hiaasen of it all. But
that's fair.
Who knows? I believe in Bill Lawrence. I believe he can make most things funny. Other than an American coaching European soccer, I did not find that show funny at all.
Yeah, so dumb. Stupid concept.
I've done a complete 180. I almost said I've done a complete 360, but that wouldn't make any sense. Let's dive into this one, Tom. All positive vibes here. We do want to talk about the narrator at the top. I believe we mentioned this, but the narrator, the actor that does the narration, is also the captain of the fishing liner. His actor's name is Tom Nowicki, and shout out to Patty who emailed about us about the narrator. Yes, Patty, we are aware. We appreciate your insight, and we're glad you're enjoying Catastrophe, which we recommended based on Rob Delaney's great work in this show. But one of the things I thought was funny is I tried to figure out why Tom Nowicki was both the narrator and a member of the cast. That seems like a little bit weird, and I was like, well, maybe he's done a lot of work with Bill Lawrence, and like they're good friends. I tried to do some internet sleuthing. I could not find that connection. But what I did find is that Tom Nowicki runs like a dog hydrotherapy company where he helps dogs, and he seems like a delightful human. So,
what's hydrotherapy for dogs? I don't even know what hydrotherapy is for people.
I think it's when they have to do like physical therapy, so they throw them in the pool so that they don't put all like the weight on their limbs.
Okay.
Or it's how you teach both children and dogs to swim. You just throw them in the deep end. I don't know. Or you get in the pool and you talk about how much you disappointed your father. Those are my guesses as to what hydrotherapy is. And then your dad stands on the side of the pool and he goes, "Yeah, I am disappointed in you. You do a podcast for 13 people. I wanted you to be a lawyer. I'm going to get cigarettes." And I'm like, "You're coming back though, right, Dad?" And he's like, yeah, sure. Hey, put more chlorine in the pool before you get out. While I'm still in it? Yes, that's what I said. Man, do you never listen to me? And then he left for cigarettes. So,
oh man, learned so much there. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's hydrotherapy, folks. I just conducted it on air for you.
I do love this guy. I love his voice. We talked about, I think, in the beginning of the pod where he kind of has a similar voice to, is it Jim or James, Yancey's dad? So it was kind of confusing at first, but as he keeps going on and doing these narrations for the recaps, like he's making the joke saying like, "I'm just getting tired of this. Like, I'm not even going to try." And then eventually talks about like even Caitlin hating each other as much as I hate doing these things.
Yes.
I thought it's so fun, breaking the fourth wall, and more shows should do this.
Right. And I think his end line of narration is like, "I hate it, but man, did I nail it." And then it cuts into the show. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. Also, the two actors look alike, which is a little bit confusing as well.
Yeah.
But let's dive into it. We are trying to keep these stories straight because obviously characters are going back and forth. But we're going to stick with Key West, Yancey, Rosa, and Bonnie to start with. We're having a little bit of a family reunion where the last episode left us with a bunch of guys with AK-47s running through the yard. And this is right before the AK-47, where I think he offers them like ketchup packets and I don't know, sugar sticks or something. I don't know what a sugar stick is, but Cody's like, "Can I have a grilled cheese?" And he's like,
"Clearly you were listening."
Yeah, you weren't listening. Tom, how's your grilled cheese skills? Are you a master of the grilled cheese? You seem like a guy that's got a pretty mean grilled cheese.
Listen, when it comes to cheese and a carbohydrate, I'm pretty good at them.
Okay.
Whether it's quesadillas, grilled cheese, mac and cheese, I can make a pretty mean one.
This will tell you how fun I am as a parent. We went to lunch after church on Sunday, and my kids at the restaurant ordered grilled cheese, and I lectured them on ordering grilled cheese at a restaurant because it costs $10, and it's never going to be as good as how mom makes them because their mom makes an incredible grilled cheese. And that's how the 30-minute car ride home went. So I think I've probably broken my children, and they will be attending hydrotherapy when they're older to talk about their dad and grilled cheeses and why they hate them. So
I'm okay with grilled cheese, a kid ordering that. It's the mac and cheese. If they get that at a restaurant, which is just a restaurant making like a box craft,
right.
That gets me because I can make a better box of Kraft mac and cheese than the restaurant
fair.
can.
That's fair. So you're on the drive home screaming at your kid about...
Well, it's funny. Last time we went to a restaurant, my kid's 5 and he's like learning how to read. So I'm going through the menu and like I'm showing him all the things and I purposely skip mac and cheese because I don't want him to get it. He's like, "Oh, I want mac and cheese." I'm like, "Ugh, dang it. You could read now."
That's great. That's great. Yep, we're all in the pocket of Big Kraft. That's for sure. They're no longer winning Super Bowls, but they sure are stealing our kids' hearts with their cheesy mac and cheese.
And filling up their hearts with cholesterol and clogging them. Yeah.
No, the jury's still out on that. I think mac and cheese is good for us. Anyways, we enter a gun battle. I found this whole scene, I had questions. I had comments. I had issues, we'll say. But it does start with the father crawling under a couch, and we get the origin of F-nuts, which is shared between Yancey and his dad. I thought it was funny.
It's a generational curse word for the family. I love it.
Just a generational curse. That's true. My issue being, so we have all these strong gentlemen with AK-47s, and all of a sudden Yancey and Rosa are fighting them in the living room, and... While it was comical, I was like, no, they're all just dead. Like, everyone's shot. I I don't think this works this way.
I don't get all this. I felt like it was just way over the top. Like, I like the cinematography they kind of do with like the red light of the fight where they're in the living room.
Yeah, someone saw John Wick
exactly.
and was like, we're going to do this fight scene in red light. And they're like, I don't think you've seen any of the episodes of this show.
Yeah. But he's like, he's screaming like now when he wants Rosa to come over and fork the guy. Like she misses her cue. I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh.
But yeah, like, and we get that Shook paid them, right? So, and it's Petrov, and he was like a freelance guy for the Russians.
Right.
I just don't. If Shook is really paying them, like it's just over the top in terms of going for outright murder. Like if you're trying to scare Yancey, then you figure you would have these guys like rough him up or something like that. But just to come in and just blanket fire this entire house just seemed much.
Yeah, it's not how I would have done it, that's for sure. I would have obviously set the house on fire with 20 gas cans, as another character does shortly hereafter. I enjoyed the comedy of it, but also there's some suspension of disbelief of like, wait, are we living in the real world? Because then all of a sudden it's like, oh, our mistake. Everyone's cool. No one's going to report it. Yep, we're all good. Let's just move the storyline. I was like, this is a little bit silly.
Like the Russians start cleaning up the mess. I thought that was pretty funny. That was almost worth it, of him just trying to like put the coaster back together whenever that broke.
Yeah. He's like, well, let us know when you're done with the millions of shards of glass all over the floor.
But then Yancey takes the AK after like everybody's all good and buddy now, and then just tells Shook to get out of the way as he just blanket fires that house. Like it was too much. And I mean, I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but I really don't love shows that just kind of glorify gunfire and weapons and things like that and make it seem like, oh yeah, weapons are no big deal. You can just kind of fire these and nobody ever gets hurt, because it's not true.
No. That's true. But man, wouldn't it be rad to wreck a house with an AK-47? You know what I mean? No.
Yellow house. Yeah.
I'm with you. You got to wonder what the sheriff and his police force are doing on a random Tuesday night that they can't answer the call where there's automatic gunfire. Mm-hmm. And anyways, let's move on. There were some funny parts to it, but I felt like it was a weird way to start and then be like, oh, everyone's cool. All right, awesome. Let's move on.
Well, and one other thing before we do is the title of this episode being The Russian Mob is Very Active in the Key West. Like, the titles of these episodes have been very goofy, and they're just essentially lines, I guess, from the show. But why put that as the title when you know people are going to see it when they click play? You're just immediately ruining that cliffhanger you did for the last episode.
Sure.
I didn't appreciate that.
I think our official guess was that it was people out hunting deer, and we were like, oh, they're just going to be hunters, and it turned out to be... I mean, the title ruined it and let us know it was the Russian mob. So I agree with you. A little bit of story chicanery here as well is we've spent all this time hunting Bonnie. She's given herself up. They've taken her back, and then nope, cuffs are coming off. Oklahoma doesn't want you, and Bonnie's going back. And we find out that Agent Russell has been Yanceying this, where she's working on her own. I was like, okay. I don't know that we needed like Bonnie having her epiphany and turning herself in only in the next episode to be like, nope, send her back, because she's an integral part of the storytelling. So these aren't complaints. These are just, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, like my dad at hydrotherapy.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know, maybe a hot take here, but I don't really care for Bonnie's storyline. Like, I love the actress,
sure,
but her storyline has always just been a means to kind of maybe move some of Yancey's stuff forward, and she really doesn't have a lot of agency for herself. And then making her like somebody that's just ruined a young kid's life with sexual assault, I thought was just, again, very heavy and just not needed. And like, I almost feel like it's playing on the idea of the parallel storylines, which we had a lot in the beginning of the series, of this agent kind of going rogue, just like Yancey is going rogue, where it kind of paralleled a lot of like what Yancey was doing and Neville was doing, and it was kind of back and forth. So I like that dynamic, but yeah, I was not a big fan of this just being not meaning anything, essentially.
I do not like when a show puts a lot of like emotional weight or story weight on something, and then the next episode like just wipes it clean. It's like it's like the shows we grew up on, where it was like each week it was the most dramatic thing in the world, and then next episode, like next week, we all forgot everything that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Smallville, you and I's favorite show, with young Clark Kent and everything that happened there. Anyways, no one, as I said, no one's reporting the shooting. We do get a nice moment here with Yancey and his dad, because his dad's like, I got to get out of here. And Yancey's like, yes, you do. And it is a fun back and forth when these two spend time together.
Yeah, Yancey's line about like, oh, you don't want to talk my worst qualities of caring too much or being too fun to spend time with. That was good. But ultimately, we get the dad saying kind of like the good line, the through line that does stick with Yancey, even though he kind of like plays it off as no big deal at the time. But he's saying that like, don't hang on to what you think you need, but rather what really matters. So I like that. It's poignant, and I love the dad kind of coming in to deliver those lines.
And I think this is him surrounding, he's met Rosa and he sees Yancey and Rosa together. And so he is making sure that his son knows he has something good there and to not treat it like lightly. I guess that's where I thought this came from, was more about spending time with his new friend Rosa, right?
Yeah, 100% agreed.
Sure. Where his old friend Bonnie uses her charm to buy 20 gas cans. Tom, let's say these are 5-gallon gas cans. Do you think you could fit 25-gallon gas cans in any of your vehicles currently?
No, probably not. We could attempt in the RAV4, but I don't know if that would fit. Maybe we just stack them on top of each other. How tight are these gas caps?
I think a gallon of water is like 8 pounds, I believe. So I'm not going to do the math because that math's really difficult, but I feel bad for that guy because, she like winked at him and he had to load up the vehicle with 20 full gas cans. And then also you're driving around with 20 full gas cans. Well,
and Agent Russell's on board, right? Or has Agent Russell already dropped her off?
Yeah, no, she's gone from Agent Russell. She's on her own at this point. She's gotten her own vehicle.
Maybe she's got the Yukon. That Yukon looks spacious.
That's fair. It just, I got tired looking at it. I was like, oh, if I had to carry all of that gas. And then obviously you're thinking of the price, right? In this economy,
oh, goodness.
It's $4 a gallon. Man. When we had it good, never mind. Let's move on. But the narrator does some work here where the narrator is like, she finally snapped. And I didn't get snapped until the explosion.
Yeah.
So this was another time where the narrator was like, hey guys, we're going to make Bonnie go crazy and I'm going to tell you she's crazy. 20, although I guess 20 gas cans, that's maybe not, that doesn't speak well of someone's current mental health. So
yeah, maybe she's just going to like live in the middle of nowhere and she needs gas for a generator. I don't know.
Sure. Maybe she's huffing it. I mean, sometimes all you need is a good gasoline huff to get you in the right state of mind. You know what I'm talking about.
The John Lennon song, right? All you need is huffing.
All you need is huffing. That's right. That's what was playing in the dentist's office today when my teeth were getting cleaned. Let It Be rolled into All You Need Is Huffing.
Well, the doctor slowly puts that thing over your nose.
Yeah. Why does it smell like gas? And then I fell asleep.
This is what chloroform to you?
We're so done with New Year, New You. This year, it's more you on Bumble. More of you shamelessly sending playlists, especially that one filled with show tunes. More of you finding Geminis because you know you always like them. More of you dating with intention because you know what you want. And you know what? We love that for you. Someone else will too. Be more you this year and find them on Bumble.
Yancey visits the FBI director. I'm glad this FBI director actress is getting work. She does a fabulous job in her pantsuits. And just Vince Vaughn carries this scene. He's like, okay, so you'll do something if I get him back to the States. And she's like, no, I didn't say that at all. It was just, it was all great.
Message received. Wink.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I do like how the scene ends because I think, and again, the narrator doing the heavy lifting about he got like hung up on by, I don't know if it was by Neville or his dad or somebody he was on the phone with, and then he also hates somebody walking away from him. So like the idea of the FBI director walking away while he's actively trying to talk to her, that was pretty funny too.
Right. The running theme of Yancey hates being abandoned mid-conversation is very funny. Rosa and Yancey, they decide to go after the striplings in the Bahamas. Well, I guess maybe they're discussing it. And I like Yancey's line where he's like, is this a dare to be great kind of thing or a ruin your life sort of thing? And just dare to be great is something I'm going to start using more in my life when obviously when my children order grilled cheese at the restaurant, I'm going to be like, is this a dare to be great moment or are you ruining your life? And then
I'm the proud new coach of a 5-year-old soccer team, so that's what I'm going to say to these kids. Dare to be great today, kids.
We should rewatch Lasso. If you're going into coach mode, let's rewatch Lasso. I'm all about it. But ultimately, they're like, we need a sign from God. And what does God bring? God brings 20 gas cans full of gasoline flame.
Armageddon.
Classic
God.
Which is a great movie. Just an excellent movie. I love Armageddon. I'll start singing the song if you want me to. This was interesting. So Bonnie, because she was ready to be arrested and they refused to arrest her, has now gotten so upset that she blows up the house. I guess she says she does it for Yancey, which I appreciate him being like, listen, please stop saying that out loud. I did not ask you to do this. But like, what snapped here? Why did we go off the rails with this?
I mean, I think she just had that epiphany moment that she needs to own up to all the things she's done before this. And when
so
she
she's
finally
adding
felt
things to it.
yeah, she feels she needs her comeuppance. So if they're not gonna do it for her, she's gonna force their hand and make them arrest her. But yeah, it was a bunch. It was heavy, and again, like. You look at the circle of Bonnie's story, kind of being with Yancey, leaving, coming back. I just don't know if it was all necessary. Bonnie was in the books, right?
Yeah, Bonnie's in the books,
okay.
And it's played a little bit differently. Obviously.
Did she blow up the house with 20 gallons of gas?
She does blow up the house, but it's just... it's different. That's all I'll say. It's different. Okay. It's... she's a more comical rather than maybe tragic character in the books. But
okay.
The books are, everything's funny in the books. So even when they go and run over all those manatees with a boat, all right, so this...
Got a lot of letters.
This giant explosion, did we ever? I didn't know manatees could write. It's incredible. I thought they were too lazy to pick up pen and paper. They were inspired by this, that they decide to go to Andros, and so that's where they're going to go. I question the whole Yancey pushing Rosa into undercover work. We can talk about this later, but this just seems like a real poor decision in a new relationship. I mean, you've got to trust one another, but maybe not deep covert ops trust.
Agreed.
Ease your way into it. Maybe some light assassinations or, car bombings before you get into the real deep undercover work.
Yeah, go talk to Petrov, right? She can do a little bit of light Russian
machine
freelancing.
Gunning. Sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
We have the scene where Caitlin calls Nick. Nick's very happy to hear from his daughter, who he's been estranged from. She's like, church keeps telling me to forgive you, so why don't, I've got a friend that is interested in property. I want to set you up with them. And this all turns out to be Rosa and Yancey using Caitlin to get to Nick so that they can deep undercover him. Yeah.
I like Caitlin's response too. He's like, listen, don't hurt my dad, but you can shoot Eve in the face.
Shoot Eve in the face for me, which was great. I'm not real sure how to pronounce Rose's real name, but I did like this back and forth where he's like, all right, I'm going to come up with your fake name. And the two women just laugh at him. Rosa's like, do you know any Hispanic women that are under 80? Because he keeps using these old names. Yeah. And then she says her real, is it Rosalba? Is that?
Rosalba, yes.
Rosalba?
Yeah,
and he's like, oh, that's a terrible name.
You didn't let me finish.
Once again, Vince Vaughn just elevating everything. Oh, I think I mentioned I listened to Tom Nowicki talk in an interview. Was it Tom or was it Bill Lawrence? Someone gave an interview and they mentioned Vince Vaughn coming in on this because the interviewer was like, hey, how much did Vince Vaughn like improvise? And Vince Vaughn's like opener was, hey, we're going to do everything that's on the page that Bill and like the writers put down. And then let's like try some stuff. And so I believe it's a combination of what's on the page, but there's just so much of Vince Vaughn in this that it's difficult not to give him the credit.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of like not necessarily outtakes, but just like other cuts of the different lines he delivered. It'd be fun to get a smash cut of all that.
Sure. And I like Bill Lawrence talking about his work is always very fun. He's super humble and like he was very appreciative of Vince Vaughn and what he came to do. So, and Carl Hyacin, I guess he mentioned that Carl Hyacin is his favorite author. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, that's something. I'd ask you who your favorite author is, but we all know that it's no one because you hate to read. You hate books, Tom.
I'll tell you who my favorite author is, but if I say it, you're going to get mad that I said it, so I'm not going to say it.
That's fair. That's fair.
You'll beat me out.
All right, let's move on to Andros, where we have the Dragon Queen and the Striplings. I'm a little bit confused as to what's happening in Andros. There's a lot of like, are they on the same side? Are they not on the same side? Are they in love? Does he like just love to sing? Does she just love to, tie each other's shoes? I don't know what's going on here. But Egg and the Dragon Queen are spending time together, and she's like giving him a hard time for leaving in the morning, and I don't know. I'm worried about this relationship. I don't know that it's going to stand the test of time, I guess. And honestly, it doesn't stand the test of this this episode. So I guess I feel like what forewarned.
Yeah, what the show is kind of maybe telling us is that Dragon Queen is maybe kind of like clingy, like with her other boyfriend that was like a guy that was on vacation, and then that's the one like she wished dead, and now like she just met Egg and is wanting him to stay or whatever, when Egg is just seemingly wanting a more casual relationship. I feel like that's what the show is kind of telling us, but what I think happens throughout this episode specifically is Dragon Queen just becoming isolated, right? She's losing her friend, she's losing her current lover, she's losing Yaya, and she's just kind of all alone. So she's just, out there searching for companionship and help.
Yeah, I didn't get the clingy thing because she's like, I'll wave at you on my way to the airport. So I felt like it was just more of a...
I think it's a front though, right? She puts up like a hard shell.
Yeah, a hard shell for old Egg. She's hard boiled and he's an egg. So... that's how it all works out. I don't think that was intentional on your part, Tom, but it was 100% brilliant. Good sir. You are a professional, and I love you for it. All right. We have Nick bought a new boat. Tom, I'm going to tell you about investments. There is no better investment in this life or, as Gladiator says, the next life, as a boat. They just get better with time. They get better with age. You don't have to spend... They increase in value. You're exactly right. You don't have to spend any money on maintenance. That's why most people who buy a boat buy two boats, because they love the first one and they think this one should have a friend. It's kind of like when you buy a pet and you're like, oh, this one should have a boat. So you buy a pet and then a boat and then another boat. And I feel so good for the Striplings, and I really loved this boat. And I don't know why we spent all episode on it, but I enjoyed it, and I love this for them. I really do.
Yeah, it seems like a classy boat. What the name is great, Happily Ever After, which was good. I love how much of a kick she got out of it. Yeah,
so good.
I don't know. What would you name your boat? Do you have
if I was
boat name in mind?
I would probably like Titanic 2 or something like that. Something that lets people know I'm going to make some mistakes while driving it around and to keep clear, especially if you're an iceberg. I don't know, the Lusitania too. I just read a book on the Lusitania. Any one of those, Tom. Have you given boat thoughts? Or I'd do something from Lord of the Rings. Like
I don't know. Maybe swims in circles because he's only got one arm.
That's good. That's good. Swims in circles.
Circle swimmer? I don't know.
Circle swimmer. Oh, that's good. I like that a lot.
I do appreciate he does jump into the water at some point. And he's like, I don't know how to get out.
Get back.
Or get back in the boat.
She's so helpful. She's like, well, typically there's a ladder at the back. She doesn't go look. She doesn't go throw it in or anything. She's just like, good luck. Right. I did not understand what this gathering was. They kind of explained to us that they invite Dragon Queen. We abbreviate Dragon Queen DQ in the outline, and it's real trouble for me not to be like, we have the Dilly Bar restaurant, Dairy Queen showing up with Egg. But they're hanging out. I guess this is all to bribe a local official. But I get.
So do they need her here? Is that the idea that like Dragon Queen has like pull on the island, so if she's with them, then the bribe is easier? I mean, they make it seem like the bribe is super easy, right? Like I don't get why she's there other than show stuff.
I don't know if they are just welcoming her in as a kind of partner or as an associate, and so they want her at these meetings so that they can get to know. I mean, she was an enemy. Now they're trying to make her into a friend. Eve seems to legitimately like her.
Right.
And so, they both have glowing skin. I don't know. This is why we spent time on this boat, and other than, I mean, they didn't leave the dock, so I don't know if this boat is missing engines. It looks like they had some on the back. Maybe those are just cardboard. Those are the ones that like the appliance store puts on the back of the boat, so it looks like it has engines. I don't know.
I do like Nick's line though when Egg and Dragon Queen show up. He's like, "Oh yeah, apologies for my, we'll say, excitement." That was a funny line.
Oh, right, because Eve is very excited about the boat and wants to christen.
They were getting ready to wrestle.
Yeah, right. They were getting right. Very good. Sorry, Tom. I didn't have excitement on the brain, so I didn't know what you were implying. We have Neville hiding very poorly. He's like right outside the boat, standing behind a waist-high bush on the phone, staring at them in their faces. And he's like, Yancey, why aren't you doing anything? They're here. They bought a new boat. And I love Yancey on the phone, but Neville's a terrible hider.
Yeah, agreed. Nancy's lines were hilarious. I think this is what I had to. I mentioned at the top where I had to like rewind and write it down because he talks about like how many F's are in paraphernalia, and he immediately says none. He's like, nah, I'll just use stuff because I know where the F's go. Like, just gold.
Oh, it was very good. He's like, yeah, I just busted a drug dealer, so he was putting a report together. And this is where we have Neville hang up on him, and this is the start of he doesn't like when people hang up on him. But we've put some roadblocks in the policing and the FBI of this that obviously it leads to Yancey and Rosa having to do what they do, but it just feels like story stuff to a point where I don't like it, but I'll spend as much time with Yancey and Rosa and all these people as possible.
Agreed.
The bribing of the official, they joke about how little it costs, and he calls it a third world country, which seems to upset the Dragon Queen. And this leads to the conversation with Egg and the Dragon Queen where Egg's like, you don't know what you're getting into. And she's like, oh, you think I don't realize these idiots are like lying to me and using me.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's singing. I'm interested to see where Dragon Queen goes and what happens with that character, but we have been a little bit all over the place. Much like Job, she's just kind of spraying everywhere and not really, hitting the target. I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you here. Like, she's trying to play them. She's letting Egg know that she's trying to play him, but I don't really get her end game and why she's so friendly here with these two. But I do appreciate Egg singing, though. I mean, again, I immediately think of when you got a character kind of out of character just starting to sing on screen for no reason. I just can't help but go to Outer Range and Billy. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Billy. We miss you every day. I think about him every day, and I think about all those owls on fire. You'd like to think of those owls, much like a phoenix, they burn up and then they're reborn, but nope, not owls. They're just dead. If Egg at some point doesn't sing the theme song to Frasier, I'm going to be really disappointed in introducing a character named Eggs and not singing about scrambled eggs and Frasier. So that's a reference that most of the grandparents will get. You're welcome, children.
I'm pretty sure it's back on TV, man.
It's everything.
Not that that reference is any better. But...
Everything's back on TV. Like
Matlock.
There's Matlock. Kathy Bates is killing it as Matlock. She's so good. And Tom, they brought back Baywatch, but they're calling it Rescue High Surf. Oh man, 2-hour premiere. There was surf. There was rescue. There was high surf. I'm pretty sure someone was on a surfboard, and there's waves, and they're all in swimsuits the whole time. So thanks, Rescue High Surf. We saw it years ago when it was Baywatch. Don't try and trick us. All right. Man. This is what happens when sports are on that I watch. I then get all these dumb commercials. Yes. Also, Quinto being the crazy doctor that solves all of his patients' issues by being a weird doctor. Man, does that premise not ever get old? No, sir, it does not. Man, he's got an incredible mind. That
people love those procedurals, man. I love Zachary Quinto, though. He's a good actor.
He's great. Watch Margin Call. If you haven't seen Margin Call with him, it's an incredible movie. It'll make you sad because finances, but it'll make you happy because it's a good movie. Speaking of good movies, Asia's house gets tossed, and the Dragon Queen is sad because they used to be friends, and the Dragon Queen had told the striplings that she would take care of Asia because Asia's been running her mouth. She's mad at Egg. Egg is like, I work for the striplings. Tossed salad and scrambled eggs. He sings at her. And then Frasier comes in and he's like, what's the deal with hydrotherapy? I think.
I get Seinfeld.
No. That's Frasier. That's
okay,
Frasier. Okay. The dog says it. Anyways, I can't believe I'm sober. All right. We then have the very sad. I don't know that this was sad. The show wanted me to be sad. I didn't think this was sad. Dragon Queen calls Yaya. And she's like, I'm so lonely. Why did you leave me? And Yaya's like, well, you got mad at me and gave me a scooter, so I was able to leave you. Like, I don't know. This was an emotional stake that did not pay off for me. I'm sorry if my cold heart was not open to this. Yeah,
and this is, again, kind of the culmination of... I almost called her Dairy Queen. This is the culmination of Dairy Queen.
We got him.
Being just all around, and she just has nobody else to turn to. But I like Yaya's response of saying, like, you got to be alone to be able to find your way back to the magic. So I think Yaya thinks if she's still trying to be there for her and help her find her way, it's going to essentially push her further into her curse. I don't know, but maybe this is opening up a door for the Dragon Queen to maybe survive her curse. But I don't know. I still feel she's kind of destined for the grave.
Here's what I didn't understand. Is she's like, where are you? Why won't you tell me where you are? And Yaya's like, I'm gone. I'm in the wind. And I was like, okay. And then when the phone call like stops, they pan out and she's in that same graveyard that they've been hanging out like the whole show. And I was like, she's in the graveyard. Why would you not check that same spot? You guys were always, in fact, isn't that Dragon Queen's house? Is she in your front yard? Dragon Queen, look in the front yard. I think she's in the front yard by the graveyard. I found that so confusing because I was like, and no offense, Yaya doesn't seem like a sprinter. So I'm pretty sure the Dragon Queen can hunt her down on that little scooter of hers.
Those little scooters, those can do like 25.
Oh, I bet they're governed. I bet they're governed at 15 miles an hour. Having recently watched my kids in a go-kart that goes 15 miles an hour, it's a dangerous speed. I'll just say that. So they should govern those things at like 5.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're whipping through the grocery store. Okay. The watch being stolen. Explain to me the watch being stolen. Is this just the means in which she is able to leave the island? Because I got news for you, Tom. That taxi driver's not getting paid in part watch. The plane ticket was not bought with part watch. You have to fence that watch. And I don't think she fenced the watch because it's $250K. You can't just like show people the watch and be like, listen, I've got the plane ticket. Look at this fancy watch. And the airline is like, we will upgrade you to first class because you have a fancy watch. I didn't understand this.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like the watch thing is just more a callback to the beginning when they found the arm and they realized the arm had a watch tan, I guess, on it.
A very
and then they started looking it up.
watch tan. By the way, it's an ugly watch. Tom, I've said it. I'm sorry. I know they're a sponsor. I know that Rolex they've been a great sponsor for us for years and years. We've been selling their anchors and their watches, and it's an ugly watch. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Let's go back to our real sponsor of Swatch.
No, we're a Casio. We're definitely a Casio podcast, Tom. And like not the good Casios. We're talking like the $5 Casio that your aunt buys you at Walmart during the family reunion and it disintegrates in lake water day 2. Yeah,
With the Velcro strap.
That kind of Casio.
I mean, is it a means? I mean, we'll get to it here a bit where Yancey and Dragon Queen actually meet. I mean, Yancey does not know the Dragon Queen, so does he put this together by seeing this watch and then realize that she has relations with Nick, or at least knows him? Like, is that what they're trying to do with this?
I don't know. This episode got so cute with people crossing paths. And I was like, I got it. The narrator's like, there's only one bar on this island. And I was like, all right, ease up there, Nowicki. I appreciate you, but stop trying to hit me over the face with these clues.
Back to your ship.
Yeah, exactly. Go back to your boat and your other boat and your pet. Anyways, go back to your hydrotherapy with your boats. So much to unpack. There was so much crossing of paths and like coincidence, like specifically in the back end of this episode, that I understand like this type of novel and like a Leonard Elmore, Carl Hyacin, there's like just the bad luck of people running into each other at like the worst times. I get that's part of these stories, but it felt very cute in this one where when she's looking at the watch at lunch and it like pans up and Yancey's staring at her, I was like, wait, what? Like it almost threw me off for a second because I was like, why is he where she's at? And then I had forgotten they hadn't met before. It was an interesting scene, but I just got a little bit confused. I appreciated them. She like won't give him her name, and he makes a comment about how we all pay for our sins, and she's like, I hope not. And then she disappears by magic, which was a new thing. But I don't know. There's a lot of just cross paths that confuse me.
Yeah, again, I like the two characters finally meeting, but it seemed kind of anticlimactic, and I'm sure we'll get more with them here in the future, but yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, and we've dropped into it already, but the back end of what we want to talk about is Yancey and Rosa going to Andros and like checking into the hotel and being deep undercover poorly.
Did you notice that like they do a cut of like as they're walking into the hotel, Rosa says something about being nervous about going undercover or something like that. And then there's like a housekeeper that's going by and she kind of like the camera stays on her for half a beat and she kind of looks up. It makes me think like maybe she's a spy for Egg, or maybe that's going to kind of come back and blow Rosa's cover.
I think you're giving it more credit. I think that beat is for humor because the next thing that Yancey says when they cut to the housekeeper is he looks at the housekeeper and he goes, yeah, please keep shouting that like louder. So I felt like it was more for comedy than, hey, the housekeeper is going to be the one that blows their cover, because there's 8 other ways their cover is going to be blown during this.
True.
So they go to the one bar on the island. It's very funny because Rosa's like, I'm nervous. I've got to come up with a cover story. And Yancey's like, oh, it's easy. And then he spitballs this. And if you had told me that Vince Vaughn made that up on the spot, and it's literally him in Wedding Crashers, just like coming up with a new identity. And give me a whole episode of just Yancey making up cover stories.
Yep, we own an emerging maple syrup conglomerate.
Right. We're folk singers from Salt Lake City. We play for the Yankees. We lost a lot of good men. This all leads to them meeting the pilot, Claspers. And once again, a lot of like crossing paths. But they realize it's Claspers because he exchanges the phone with him. They find out he's a pilot. Isn't this like a, hey, we need to get out of here moment? Like, we're going to get found out, right?
I don't, like, my wife has the same thing as we're watching it, because I don't think Rosa clocked him or knew who he was. Like, they didn't know until he said something specific, and I can't remember what the catalyst for it was. But then they, like, give him the phone, He puts his name in there.
It's a lot of
it's a
exclamation
callback.
marks.
Yeah, callback to the exclamation points where he puts a bunch of them in there. But I don't think when they first see him at the bar, they don't know he is who he is.
No,
and then he just starts kind of opening up his mouth, right?
I agree, but through this conversation, Vince Vaughn Yancey definitely knows he's Claspers and knows who Claspers is, and I'm pretty sure Rosa was a part of that. And if Vince Vaughn doesn't tell Rosa that the pilot knows, because isn't their thing is that they now have to get the striplings from Andros to Miami, and so they want to have them fly immediately. Well, guess what? That's going to require a pilot. Their pilot is Claspers. Claspers is going to look at Rosa and be like, "Oh, you were with like Yancey." This felt like, don't put your new girlfriend deep undercover and have her cover blown this quickly. That's all. Just the spycraft in me.
Yeah.
I had an issue with this, Tom. You know.
That's right. You are a big Tom Clancy guy. My thought would be that Rosa wouldn't fly back necessarily with them. She would just meet the striplings back in Miami, so they don't actually have to fly with the pilot. But I'm with you. It like definitely opens him up, especially taking a picture with the guy. Like that didn't seem like a brilliant idea.
No. The first rule of being deep undercover is 1, don't buy a boat. 2, don't have someone take your picture on a Polaroid and hang it on the bar wall. That's number 2. Number 3 is never fall in love.
Ever.
With anyone.
Unless it's with a boat.
Or like the dictator of a country. You're allowed to fall in love with that person. But that's just me and the Beautician and the Beast. What's that lady's name? Fran Drescher?
Fran Drescher,
I love Fran Drescher. All right.
Great Fran Drescher.
Once again, I'm sober. This is what happens. So then, against my good judgment, we let Rosa go undercover. She looks fabulous, by the way. And she's talking to the striplings. She loves the property. She wants to buy it. She's got cash. You can see Eve's a little bit like, questioning her motivation. Obviously, Eve, game recognizes game, as the kids say, in the spycraft game. And so then she starts kind of prodding about Caitlin, like, oh, you met her at church, all these things. And this leads to Rosa. She's either got to like commit. She doesn't know where to take it. And I think she does the right thing here. Although I disagree with her assessment of Caitlin. I think Caitlin is a lovely individual with a good attitude. But I like what Rosa does here. Good deep undercover, Rosa.
She plays Eve. Like she kind of knows that Eve hates Caitlin. So throws the B word out there and says like how awful she is, and then immediately Eve's like, yes, she is, and now they're bonding over their hatred of Caitlin. But again, like the narrator does that heavy lifting of saying, this is the big moment, this is where Rosa has to really divulge herself and cover or whatever.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I think so. Like,
I don't remember that
This
part.
is her moment, yeah.
This is her moment. He's like a song in The Greatest Showman, really letting you know how to feel in that special moment.
Don't get me started, man. I can sing those show tunes all day long.
I know you can. It's one of the things that I genuinely like about you. All right, let's get to the end of this one. They celebrate so early on this. The striplings are like, we will fly to Miami to get the cash. Rosa, Yancey, and Neville go to Don's, and they're like, hey, we got the bad guys. And I was like, whoa. 2 more episodes, folks. Also, they haven't gone to Miami yet. Also, the FBI hasn't arrested him. You haven't arrested him. What are we doing here? This is wrong on so many levels. You cannot count your chickens before they hatch, Tom. Something you and my papa have always said.
Yeah, I could agree more. Like they were too happy in the scene. Like the music was too cheery. I assumed they were going to get more AK-47s. Were going to come to their door and just start shooting up the place. It was just too happy. I did like that we got a little quick peek of Driggs as he's kind of peeping into the house, trying to, I don't know, hang out with Neville. Again, for a show called Bad Monkey, we got so little monkey. I do want to see a little bit more of Driggs.
Sure. We have a hurricane coming, and this leads to the Heather the Weather replacement.
Hurricane Melanie.
Hurricane Mel, as they call them in those places. I don't know how this is going to... Like, I feel like, do we all get stuck on the island then? We can't go back to Miami because this hurricane's coming?
I think it's what it's setting up. I think they've maybe even foreshadowed this in previous episodes of, this is going to be either in the penultimate or the finale where the hurricane's going to. And I think even the very beginning, didn't the Dragon Queen mention like part of her curse or whatever she did, like mentioned a storm coming? So I think it's all just kind of a callback, and we're going to get some sort of wild storm at the conclusion of the series.
I hate to ruin the series for you, Tom, but this is how the striplings go down as they're taking off in their seaplane. The hurricane draws a manatee out of the water and throws it into the propeller of the aeroplane, and both the manatee ascends to heaven, and the striplings crash down into the water, and the hurricane sucks them up, and then they're eaten by other manatees. I think manatees are carnivores. I could be wrong on that. I'm not going to do any research, pickle story, but it sounds right. And then Carl Hyacin closed the book, and that was the end.
The end.
So 2 more episodes. I'm assuming we get stuck on the island in a hurricane, and then we have a dramatic finale episode. I don't know what we're doing with the 2 episodes. I feel like we're stretching it, and I'm enjoying the dialogue. I'm enjoying the characters. But there's certain things we've added in here that I don't care about. And so I'd rather have a tighter television show, if I'm being honest, but still enjoying it.
Yep. I'm definitely with you. I think even the length of these episodes could be tighter too. Like if you're going to do 10 episodes, then do them as half hour, 35 minutes. I think this one was a little bit longer, 45 to 50.
I'm not complaining about a 43-minute episode, Tom. Give it to me all day long, because otherwise they're going to give us an hour and 10 minutes, and we don't want it. We say... You know what we say to death and what we say to 10-hour episodes? We say, not today.
Not today.
That's what we say.
But before we close it out, I mean, there is the big cliffhanger of, which is kind of goofy. They don't actually show them, but they show the striplings going to the bar, and then they see the Polaroid in the back, behind them. So they're going to see it, but they don't specifically show the striplings seeing it. So I don't know, maybe we'll pick back up in this bar, and then they'll have some sort of epiphany moment.
Yeah, once again, the narrator, the narrator's like, hey, camera guy, zoom in on the photo over her shoulder. Let's not let her see it, but I'm going to tell you about. So, once again, love this show. No complaints. All good. Excited for the pendulant episode. The Penn and Teller of episodes, which is the second to the finale. The penultimate episode, it's called. Right, Tom?
Yeah, you get it. You get worse every time you try to say it.
Well, that's something
which I love about you.
My dad said at hydrotherapy as well. So, for those of you that are still listening, we appreciate you. Those of you that have reached out, we obviously love hearing from you. You can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. Tom, there are some notable mentions. I will say, there was a Hurricane Mel in this episode. We got a little bit of a shout out from our own Hurricane Mel.
Yeah, Mel reaching out to us on Twitter, letting us know she's enjoying the show, and I think she's also going to go back and check out our Outer Range pod because she watched that. So yeah, appreciate you.
It's bonkers, Mel. It's bonkers.
It's bonkers. Enjoy. And then we also got a very kind review from Lara on our Apple podcast. So thank you, and we really appreciate it.
Yes, we do. And we will be back for the next episode. We are also discussing what show we would like to do next. If you have recommendations, we love to hear them. We're open. If you understand what we enjoy, which is obviously me, religious and World War II history, and Tom, I think, likes comic books. I don't really know. I know he likes soccer.
Graphic novels.
So if you find a show that crosses all of those boxes, please suggest it to us, because we'd love to watch.
Yes, for sure. And yeah, follow us on the socials, Team Binge, at Team Binge Podcast, Twitter, Instagram. We'll probably be a little bit delayed. I am going on my own tropical week vacation next week.
That's right.
So
you're going to... Oh, I don't want to reveal too much, but you might.
I am
run
going
into
somewhere in the Caribbean.
Striplings.
Yes, I will be cautious. But yeah, we'll have the penultimate. We'll try to get it released before the finale, but we might have a little bit of delay. So apologies, but vacations are coming.
Man, if you get mauled by manatees, do you know how bad I'm going to feel?
Oof.
I'm actually not going to feel bad. Just the irony alone would make me giggle. But it is what it is.
We are doing a boat excursion. So I'll ask if we see some manatees. I'll ask if I can take the wheel.
Yeah. Score some points. I believe in you. Please record it and put it on the internet. The internet would love that. All right, for Team Binge, I have been Julian.
And I've been Gumshoe Tom. Till next week, everybody.